Welcome to Spark Sessions. I'm your host, Shari Alyse, and today we are diving deep into the power of finding and using our voice. Our guest, Dianna Leeder, is the founder of Crave More Life Coaching and author of the Find Your Voice, Save Your Life series. For over 40 years, Dianna has been helping women and men speak their truth and create joyful, fulfilling lives. Today, we're going to explore how using your voice can transform your life and lead you on a path to true self-expression. I'm so excited to welcome to the show, Dianna. Hi, Dianna.
Hi, Shari. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored. And I love talking voice, so I'm very excited.
It's awesome. I love that you love talking voice because we're using them today. So
that's right.
It works out perfectly. So before we talk about your book and all the amazing work that you are doing as far as helping people to find their voice, I want to know just right off the bat, what or how does holding back our voice get in the way of us having good experiences in our life, you know?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer that based on my own experience, because that's where it all began for me. When we cannot say what we need to say, we're misaligned from ourselves. We kind of pull away from that inner self that knows all, whether it be the soul, the higher self, whatever we choose to call it. We pull away and we feel that. We feel that in our bodies. So for me, it was a matter of knowing that as I was engaging with people, I was waiting for validation from those people as opposed to looking inside myself. Mm-hmm. So I missed all this goodness, all the stuff, and I'm getting the chills just talking about it. Yeah. I missed all that beautiful stuff that is me authentically, and I didn't share that. And then I would walk away from those conversations feeling terrible, just had that lump in my gut. And why didn't I say that? And I should have done that, all that kind of, the questioning of who I was because I wasn't honoring who I was. So, right. So yes, thank you, universe, for actually making me question those things. So when we can't speak our own truth, we can't get what we want in this life. And you could take it in a variety of ways, but it always rings true. When we cannot ask for something or even demand something, which we need to do at times, we simply can't get it. So if we're sitting quiet or we are shaking our head or knowing in that head that this doesn't feel right, or in our gut doesn't feel right, and we don't say that, we're not going to get what is right for us. So even if we want a better relationship, we want a better job, if we don't ask for it, we don't get it. So this is the opportunity. Voice is really the strongest way and the most common way of self-expression. We can get what we want through other manners of expression, artwork, creativity, and that kind of thing. But voice is the major way. So learning how to manage that for ourselves just opens up the world to us.
I'm listening to you and I'm feeling you and I'm thinking, this is, and don't take this the wrong way, because I think the work you're doing is powerful, but I'm like, this is so obvious, like in such a powerful way, that if we could just say what's in our hearts and what we're thinking, how much more beautiful, how much more peaceful, how much more exciting and joyful our lives would be, because we would all be fully connected to ourselves. And I say, like, so obvious, but none of us or most of us aren't doing that. Why do you think that people struggle so much with using their voices?
I think there's history to being able to use our voices or not. Mm-hmm. So, when we think about, I like to call it the sauce of humanity. Mm-hmm. We get taught a lot by that sauce of humanity. Not all that is supportive of us, definitely not necessarily supportive of us looking inside. So it's be a really good mom, which means that you sacrifice everything, be a really good daughter, which means you behave yourself in many circumstances. Thankfully, this is not 100%, but what is it that we get taught as kids? Speak when you're spoken to. I remember that one very well. Behave, all those kinds of things. In a job, be good, perform the way that you need to. Don't be quiet. Get in there and just push, push, push. Those kinds of things. But that's kind of all the surface stuff around us that we have, that's been created by humanity. We came here as beings in these bodies to do something and to be who we are. So when we silence ourselves, we're not doing ourselves any favors at all, and we don't get to express all those things that we need to.
Would you say that when we're younger, it feels like we're these full expressions of ourselves. And as you're saying, then the sauce of humanity, we get blended in and, different people, whether it's our teachers who are like, get in line and conform and do what.
Yes.
So are you saying we lose that part of ourselves and we learn to then show up as other people, as we think other people want us to?
Yep, I would absolutely say that. And it's not, again, it's not 100%. Some people are able to get through all that. But there's also trauma, trauma, ancestral trauma, trauma as a child, all that leaves us with scars and wounds that basically give us a different story about ourselves. So, we kind of are challenged right from the beginning. And if we are blessed enough to have people around us that support us to be ourselves, then wow, we're really, that's just awesome. I find actually that rather than coming in as a strong teenager, because often I find teenage years are when you push, you push back, you definitely push back. Sometimes it's not coming from the heart. Oh, no, that wasn't you.
Wasn't me.
Okay. Well,
okay, sorry.
It wasn't me very much either, but I certainly witnessed a lot of it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
What I actually found is that it's when we get older, when we reach closer to my age, where we start thinking, is this marriage, do I want to be in this marriage forever? I'm getting close to the end of my time here. Do I want to be in this marriage forever? Do I want to be in this stinking job forever? Those kinds of things. And we seem to have less acceptance of the sauce when we're older. And I used to think, and I'll just share this quickly, I used to think that, older women, they would tell me that, I'd be at a trade show or something and they'd say, oh, that's not me. That's not me. I don't give a, what anymore, and I just think, I wonder, I really thought a lot about it. I wonder if that's really accurate. I wonder. So I thought about it and thought about it. And then as I became older, I thought, dang it, they're right. They lose some of the need to be in the sauce. They lose a lot of that necessity to conform, which is great. But who wants to wait until you're 60? No,
absolutely. No. Absolutely. It's so interesting because as I, thought about this topic today and really about using our voices, what immediately came to mind for me was trauma as a child, learning how to trust my voice, speak it. But I didn't take it from the angle as to what you just mentioned about as we get older, even just being in a relationship or the career, that voice within, that one that makes decisions to or wants us to. So like my mind's a little blown right now because I had a certain viewpoint of using our voice. And I think, or I know that you're absolutely right about, it seems like as we get older, we no longer want to tolerate or, certain things that are important that we've just kind of put up with for a while. That starts to change.
Yeah.
That's what you help women and men do.
Yeah. And I have to say that there is, when we talk about the using our voice externally, that's the obvious one. It's the internal voice that we need to work on as well. And that's the kind of deep work I do in my group courses. Because if we don't deal with whatever it is that's holding us back, if we don't at least acknowledge it and understand it, sometimes we're not going to fix it. I mean, a trauma's not going away. It's hanging around, but we can do enough healing that we can manage that so that each day is what we want it to be. So the inner voice is really, really important, and almost in many respects comes before the outer voice.
Yeah. Just thank you for saying that. It's just, I think what you're doing is so needed for all of us. And like you're saying, to bring it in at an earlier age, so we don't have to spend 2 decades thinking about, I wish I would have changed direction. What is the actual first step that someone can take to follow their own direction?
Yeah.
Before it's too late.
Yes, before it's too late. Yeah. I think it is about awareness. It's, that's really the key to all of this, is to be aware of what's happening. I mean, what we really want to build is our own conscious awareness so that we can make conscious choices. So we're not thinking, oops, so-and-so wants me to do that, so I think I better. No, I'm gonna go inside, and I'm gonna feel into what's right for me. And then I will make my choice from there. So, and a lot of times we don't even give ourselves time to, feel into anything. It's just like, oh, yep. Oh, I got asked to do something. Oh, I don't really want to, but I sort of have to, so I'm going to do it anyway. That kind of stuff. The whole, and I know men do it too, but it's primarily women who get into that role where they are constantly helping somebody without considering their own needs. So the self-care stuff, I saw another one of your other interviews on self-care, and it was awesome. So the self-awareness is really important. That's really the first step. And I always suggest to people, if they just want to get going, make a log of your day. Write down everything that you did that day. And then take a look at those things and decide how you felt when you did them. Did you feel good? Did you feel not so good? Did you feel wretched? Give it some kind of description, and then decide what would have made that particular experience better for you. So it's kind of just, the wake up call. Yeah, like I really didn't, of course I want to go and help my sibling or whatever. I want to help them. It's not working for me right now in this way. So how else can I help them? How can I use my voice in different ways and my behavior in different ways so that they're being supported and they know that they are loved, and I'm showing compassion to them without hurting myself in the process.
I love that, because what came to mind as I see people listening to this and, being ready to, listen to their own voice and take action and do the things. I also see the person on the other side being like, wait, what about me? So hearing you say that it's just about finding an alternative way to be able to still support somebody else, to still be there for them, but still honoring our own voices and not sacrificing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's our voices, it's our bodies, it's our mental health. Yeah. It's everything. Again, that's what comes back to the self-care thing. If we are honoring our voice, we're honoring our entire body, mind, soul, spirit. We're honoring everything.
And then we just show up better. Even in our relationships, we are more patient, we're more understanding, we're more compassionate. We don't feel drained because we are paying attention and being aware and, and sacrificing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're open to joy. Yes. We're open to joy. There's nothing in the way. There are none of those feelings of, oh, what does so-and-so think about me? Or, oh my goodness, I wore the wrong dress to this party, or, whatever it is. There's nothing in the way anymore. Those things, kind of fall away, and we can simply make choices that bring us joy.
Oh, I love this.
Which is your thing.
Yes, it is. And really, to be honest, when I talk to people about joy, and people say, what is it to you? I always say it's being fully aligned and fully self-expressed. And that's what that is for me. So of course I completely agree with everything you're saying. It
I
was
love it.
finding that place within myself and making sure that I wasn't sacrificing, that my voice was being heard, both internal and external, and finding that balance. I did not have a coach like you or somebody to help me, and I would have loved having that guidance. So it didn't have to take me 4 decades to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I love that. And speaking of 4 decades, what from your over 40 years of doing this work,
Mhm.
what would you say is some of the hardest part for people to make changes in how we use our voices?
And I find that the hardest part is not learning. I mean, I have a model for doing this that I use, when I was doing one-to-one. I'm not doing one-to-one now, but in my group work, absolutely, we use that model. And the model itself is very simple and very clear and very easy to learn. And when they start to practice some of the points of the model, then it's like, whoa, really, this is cool. And they get very empowered. But the hardest part is maintaining that practice. You can't kind of do it one day and then forget about it for a week. That's the hardest part, is sticking to it, because it's a change for us. It's not, and it's not necessarily easy. Every day we may come across a different circumstance that we want to manage a little differently than we have before. So maybe it is speaking to your partner about changing things up in your relationship, or moving jobs or whatever. Maybe it is something like that. Each day brings a new challenge, because we're living in the sauce. So we have to learn how to, and this is part of our program too, learn how to separate ourselves from the sauce, so that we can engage in the way that keeps us healthy and happy and joyful.
I love that. So being in a group program, I imagine for people, there's so much support with others who are going through the same thing or similar things. Uh, is that kind of how your group programs work, where it's not just with you, but also they have each other?
Absolutely. And I have to say, Shari, that when I started this program, I was blown away by the extent of support that happened between members. It was beautiful. And it was, in fact, it was so much that I thought, I'm not, like, that was part of the, I'm not doing one-to-one stuff anymore. As much as I love that, I'm going to focus here, because this is powerful stuff. To have another woman who's going through the same thing as you, exactly what you can say, what you probably shouldn't say, because we can fall in. There are habits that we live with when we're voiceless, and we can, when we get scared, we can hold on to those habits. We can say, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. So to have somebody else to be able to reflect that back with, and not just me as doing the teaching and the coaching, I'm supposed to do that. But when it comes from someone who is their peer, it's quite beautiful. And as I said, it blew me away. I was so impressed with it that I won't go back to one-to-one at all.
And it's everything you're saying, being able to witness also other women or people in the program, stepping up and seeing them using their voices, and everybody kind of on this journey together of finding that place within themselves, feels that it would be so powerful, and with someone that guides everybody.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing this work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead. You were to say something.
I was just going to say that it's also real teaching for the person who's offering the support, right?
Mhm.
So it goes back and forth. It's kind of like the books, if I can throw them in for a second. The
Yes.
books they were healing tools for for the holistic practitioners that wrote them. They're also healing tools for whoever reads them. So it goes both ways. Like, we teach in those groups, we teach each other all the time without even realizing what we're doing.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about your books. Find Your Voice, Save Your Life. You've got 4 of them already.
Yes.
Share with me how reading these books can help people strengthen their voices.
Yeah. You know what? A lot of it does go back to that healing that you experience when you're reading something that is common to you. So you're going to find a story. You know, the first two books are by and for women specifically. You're going to find a story in one of these books that relates to you. You know, you're going to find one and you're going to say, wow. So first of all, I'm not alone. I'm not by myself. And secondly, look at what that person did to, you know, to move themselves out of that. You know, look at the healing that they went through and how they did that healing. You know, my books are a little less formal than some in terms of you know, tools. They're not formal tools. They're experiences. So, you know, what did you go through to be able to move yourself out of here? So for people to read them and you know, use that as awareness, all the stories as awareness for themselves is extremely powerful, extremely powerful. So that's what they're going to get from these books. They're going to get healing, period.
Sold. I mean, honestly, Dianna, I think that first of all, I believe books and stories are even more impactful. Tools are important, but when you can feel and experience somebody else's transformation, or even become astutely aware of something that someone else has gone through that awakens something in you, it feels like the first step to then go, okay, this is possible for me. Now I want to know how to do it. And then they can reach out to you.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what happens. And it's a beautiful, beautiful process unfolding for us that we don't usually even realize is happening. So yeah, it's extremely powerful.
And I love the names of the series. The name of the series, Find Your Voice, Save Your Life. It's, are you able to share, you know, maybe somebody's experience that has worked with you before, and how their life has, how they have found their voice, and what has happened for them?
Sure. So I'll kind of mix it up a little bit because I can't think of anybody, just one person, but
that's a tough problem to have. There's been so many people that have been helped.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So you know, I think the biggest thing that people learn from this is that they can they have the capacity to be able to make different choices. Because when we are stuck in that sauce and we are responding out here, we don't think we have choices. You know, no, I have to go there, or I have to be quiet, or whatever it is. I must do that. So that's probably the biggest thing. And the interesting part of that is that as you kind of work that through your life, when you have learned and you know, you've integrated that for yourself, then you can apply it to wherever you need to apply it, right? So maybe it's just, you know, I kind of joke about this, but maybe it's just you know, you are really clear with the barista that this is the kind of coffee that you really prefer. It could be that simple, because often we can't even do that. You know, like if someone makes a mistake with something, oh, no problem. When in fact, maybe you can't actually, you know, maybe you're allergic to whatever it is you've been given, you know? And again, it doesn't have to be harsh. It just has to be clear and compassionate, right? So we apply that stuff to whatever is happening in our life. And I find that that people will work their way into that. So they'll start with the littler things, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they have the strength really to just adopt, really, I mean, say what they want to, but adopt a more conscious lifestyle, which is for me is super exciting. It's super exciting because then, you know, I mean, that's it. I mean, the conscious lifestyle is, to me, the silver tuna, right? Where you no longer are bothered by what's happening from the outside. You're observing it. You know, and because when we don't have a voice, we don't observe, you know, we don't observe for us. We observe so that we can mimic. Yeah.
Wow. Well, first, I love the coffee example, because as you said, it seems so simple, but being able to state what it is that you want, or something that's not okay, that moment, because I remember having those moments in my life where I first used my voice, whether external or internal, but to make a change, a behavioral change, that opened up so many doors for me because number one, I had the awareness that, oh my God, you didn't die. Nobody died in the process of stating what you needed. Everybody still liked you. And it was, and more than anything, I liked myself for doing that. And so it is such powerful. I keep using that word again and again because I really believe that the work that you're doing and helping people do will align them with who they really are, to step forward in the world, to do the work that they're meant to do, to be the people that they're meant to be. And that creates more joy. So I thank you for this.
Oh my goodness.
You also you train people, right? You train healers, other coaches to help other people. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Find Your Voice certification training is for holistic healers or any healer, actually. I mean, anybody who's doing that kind of work with clients, because I like to be able to offer the practical route to this as well, so that, because there are, I almost feel like maybe when we are already on our spiritual path, we have a little leg up, which is great. But when we're not on a spiritual path, we need that little bit of extra help. So I like to make it as clear and practical as possible. So, and I forgot your question because I went off.
Oh, it was about your training for other voice healers.
Yes.
And I bring that up just really quickly for one thing, and that is because obviously you can't be everywhere, but your work is needed in the world, and so being able to help people with this, to help do more of this work is brilliant.
It was purposeful for that reason, that, this has to be spread, this has to be taught. And what better group than other holistic healers, other healers that are there working with people who are coming in with voice issues. And it allows them to identify, what those issues are, what's common, so that they recognize it. Because I'm going to say that there's probably everybody in the world has been voice challenged at some point. And maybe they didn't continue, but even if they're strong, they were probably challenged about that too, I have a group of people who are Find Your Voice healers, and they will do that work with whoever, whatever clients they choose. And I have a male as well who does the men's work. So he's the co-author of book 4, Transcendent Men, Real Stories. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How does it feel, Dianna? How does it feel using your own voice?
It's beautiful. I have this little sign on my desk that says, "Be bold." I never, ever would have considered myself to be a bold person. But now I have redefined what bold means, from the old sense into now. And that's just simply to be myself. And there isn't a hesitancy. I mean, did I have a few butterflies in my stomach before we got on? Sure. But there's no hesitancy because I really believe, and I know that this is true for me.
And that's what we all need, is that butterflies are fine. They're beautiful, right? Like it's that being alive.
Excitement. Yes.
That being alive part of ourselves, but knowing that you have that support, that foundation that is yourself, is a beautiful way to walk in the world. And thank you for giving us all that. How can people get in contact with you if they want to be part of your group coaching program? And then also, how can they grab these books?
Right. Okay. So the books are all on Amazon.
Okay.
So take a peek. I'm in Canada, so amazon.ca or .com or anywhere. They're all available.
I'll put all the information for you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And people can find me at Dianna with 2 N's at cravemorelife.com. Just slip me an email, tell me what's going on and what you're looking for, and I'll hook you up.
Yeah. She'll hook you up. Last question for you before we go. What is your ultimate hope with the work that you're doing in the world?
My ultimate hope is to get as many people as possible to a point where they can experience the joy that you talk about. You know, to get there, to be healed enough to experience that, or to allow themselves to experience that. That's it. Because when that happens, the whole planet is in a good place.
You heard that? She's creating more joy for people too. So definitely reach out to Dianna. Thank you so much for being on the Spark Sessions and sharing your joy and your voice with all of us.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really, truly honored. Thank you.